Hey guys, it's Helen Hartsmith here again from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. I hope you're having a good day because I am something. I have to be honest with you guys. I am really not looking forward to recording this video just because I'm here to do a book review. And I'm here to do a book review on this book right here. This is called Spirit of the Witch, Religion and Spirituality in Contemporary Witchcraft by Raven Grimassi. This book, it's kind of, I like to give you guys like the copyright dates and stuff like that so that you know how old or new this particular book is. This one's a little, oh, there it is. Okay. So this book is copyright 2003, but this happens to be a 6th printing of this book. And so it has a 2017 copyright for the 6th printing. So this is a pretty popular book to have a 6th printing. This book is about 240 pages. For those of you who may or may not know Raven Grimassi, he is a pretty well-known author in New Age circles. I've never met Raven Grimassi, but I like to consider him an elder of, you know, the Wiccan community, okay? So he's a teacher and practitioner of magical systems for more than 30 years. He is the author of such books as Hereditary Witchcraft, Italian Witchcraft, Wiccan Magic, The Witch's Craft, and The Witch's Familiar, okay? He is especially known as a practitioner of strega, which is the Italian witchcraft. That is kind of his claim to be a strega witch. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So this particular book is one that my coven and I read together. We will choose books and we will read them as a coven and talk about them and things like that. So this is our most recent finish. And I have to say, and this pains me, I did not like this book whatsoever. The content, and it's not necessarily because of the content of this book, but I don't like Raven's style of writing. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to pause. You're gonna see that I'm gonna pause and be careful of my words because I don't mean any offense to this. But as I talk about on this channel, you have to think about how do things resonate with you. And some people's work resonates with me and some people don't. And I have to say that my entire coven, we did not enjoy a greater part of this book. I have to say that a good thing about this particular book is that it prompted a great deal of discussion with us as a group. And so that in and of itself gets some major points because when we are provoked into talking about things, then there's either something really good or something really wrong happening with the text. And unfortunately, this is the second. There's something very wrong with the text. I would consider this book to be it's a very 101, Wicca 101 type book. If you're familiar with that term, there's definitely it's a basic book in the type of information that is shared. So he talks about becoming a witch. He talks about the Sabbats. He gives rituals and things of that nature. And so there were some things in here that I hadn't known prior to reading this book. There were some, I'm trying to think of what it's called and trying to flip through it really quick. There's a tool that he talks about that people would wear as a pin that I had not heard about prior to reading this book, but I think it was very much it's an Italian witchcraft. It has Italian witchcraft origins. And I think there was oh, I just saw it. Yes, it's a witch's charm called the Simaruta. Features the images that have significance to the witch. So this was something that I had never seen before. And since reading this book, I've actually come across like a pendant that is this type of this shape, this symbol. And I think it was also used as you would hang it. So it's what you have here is a sprig of rue that is the foundation. And there's 3 branches, and there's a rooster. You see we've got the rooster here. And that is a herald of the sun because it crows in the morning. There's a dagger, which this particular one, I don't see the dagger. But there's a moon shape. There's a serpent, which is here around the moon. There's a key. And so each of these things have a symbolic meaning. There's a vervain blossom and the key. And so that was used. It's been a while since we read that bit. Chimaruta, that's how it's pronounced. But what was it for? In corners. Enlightenment in the places of darkness. There we go. So that was interesting, and that was something that I didn't know about. And that's not in particular why I didn't like this book. It's a great 101 book, but what we as a group we had a problem with, he would be talking about something and he would say, but we're going to talk about that later in chapter something. Or if you want to have more information about this, see my book, blah, 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 blah. So it was almost as if he was plugging himself for purchasing other books. And it just it was very put offish for all of us as a group. We were like, okay, that's weird. If you're going to explain it later in this book, then why bring it up now? That's weird. Or it was a weird vibe. It was a weird vibe throughout, the entire book. And I'm not really down with someone kind of self-plugging themselves for, if you want to know more about this, then buy my other book. That's just not how I roll. And I guess I'm kind of used to Christopher Penczak's writing style. As we all know, former student, I enjoy how he will take the time to at least give you a brief rundown, because I've read many of his books, and in just about every book that he writes, he brings up the Tree of Life in some capacity. And he will give a brief explanation of what the Tree of Life is in every single book. And it's to the point where it's not annoying that it's brought up every time. And if he's talking about something in for one reason, then he's explaining it enough so that you can understand what he's talking about, instead of saying, well, if you want to know more about the Tree of Life, then go by my Temple of high magic and learn all about it there. No, he gives you at least enough so that you can understand the concept that he's talking about in that moment. And I appreciate that. I don't need to be talked down to, but if I'm reading your book and you're trying to tell me something, then if you're trying to teach me something, then I need you to explain it here instead of saying, go reference this over here. Because I don't have time for that. I'm reading this book right now. I'm not reading that book. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's not being hypercritical. But this book it didn't do much for me. And so I don't want to bash it. So I'm not gonna give any other negative comments about it. I guess the only other thing that I will say, that there were some chapters where it just left you with a feeling of, what is this? But then he had other moments that were like, well, that was a good point, or what have you. So it wasn't a complete waste of time for us to read this particular book, because, as I said, there's some good things in there. But let's talk about brooms, and then I can be done with this video, and I can be done with worrying about this book. I'm going to give this book 2 brooms. And I'm giving it 2 brooms simply because there were some bits of light in it that I didn't know. And there was some insight in there that I was like, okay, cool. I can get behind that. I'm glad to have read that. And for a second reason was because it sparked a great deal of conversation between us as a coven reading this together. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm just going to leave it at that. 2 brooms for Spirit of the Witch by Raven Grimassi. If you have read that book and would like to discuss your thoughts on the book, then I would be happy to do so in the comments section below. Or you can email me at heartofthewitchespath@yahoo.com and we can talk about it. I don't want to get into a war as to, I love this book, I hate this book, I love this book, I like this book. If we can have some nice discussion about it, then that's cool. But, please don't come at me because I'm sharing my opinion with you. It's my opinion. And if you liked that book, then that's cool. I'm glad that you liked the book. So we can agree to disagree. How's that? Or something along those lines. So also, if you enjoyed or learned something from this video, give it a thumbs up. I am not happy to be recording this video, but I'm happy to share my opinion with you. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I like to have you come back here and see what's new and what's happening. And there's links in the description box for the Instagram, the Heart of the Witches Path Instagram, and a Facebook page. So check those out if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching, and thanks for walking the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.